Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, capital markets analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. Back on with us is Rohit Srivastava. He is the Chief Investment Officer and Portfolio Manager with Saroj and Bhanu Fund, talking about the AI algorithm that we have, predictive analytics for our cannabis index. With that, Rohit, I will let you take it away.
Thanks, Josh, and thanks for having me again here. So same drill. We are doing this for entertainment and for learning perspective, and we're not giving you any financial advice as a disclaimer. We're talking about the cannabis index, and the cannabis index we've been talking about for past couple of weeks. And last week we talked about equally weighted index versus a market cap weighted index and how it gives an advantage of it. But there is still a value of the equally weighted index, which is that it gives you an idea about where the cannabis market is. And is it a good time to invest? Is it not a good time to invest? That's probably where it's at. While the market cap index optimizes us how much more you can get based on the different kinds of market cap stocks there are. So this is an equally weighted index, and the equally weighted index, this is where it was about 2-3 months ago. This was about a month ago, last time when we talked about it, and this is where we are. So not much change, like you can see, not much change. It is still fluctuating around the 475 support, which could turn out to be a good support, or like you were telling Josh earlier, it could be a resistance and the stock might go further down. But at this point where we are is we are just saying from this perspective that it's a hold, that it might not turn out good, or it might turn out good, but we'll have to watch and see. But at this point, where it is at a hold from what it says. From the cash in and outflow, we saw that, last week last time when we talked about, there was this huge down cash out going out, and there was this huge volatility happening where I think it might be related to some bill which was passing and going back and forth on that. But what really is it is still fluctuating at below zero, which basically is there. It is nowhere close to how much the average daily value per equity is. So I think at this point, even from the cash in and outflow, we just want to be cautious. We want to say that we want to be cautious, and we don't want to invest into anything right now till this volatility goes down.
Is any of that have to do with short sellers? I know that there's almost 200 million out there in short sellers. So that cash outflow, is that also taking into consideration short selling?
Well, the short sellers still have to buy the stock. So it does not mean that it includes short sellers, but even the short sellers have to buy the stock. So in that sense, it's basically does not really impact any fluctuation around that.
There are some companies that are no longer lending shares out to be borrowed against to sell short. Elon Musk loves that idea, by the way. I think that's funny.
Yes.
But to reiterate, this cash outflow and that huge dip does include short sellers.
That's correct. Yeah. Well, and maybe if you want next time, maybe we can talk about if we can find out which particular equity doesn't has short sellers, and put some gauge around this, which tells like, okay, this much is the actual shorts from the short sellers, and this is not from the short sellers. Yeah. Okay. But we'll have to do some research and get some data together around that. But for now, yeah, but the cash in and out, saying that the cash is still coming out of the market. From the short-term sellers or short-term buy sell, or from the cap weight market index, we had a bunch of stocks which we were holding last week, and this week we have only two holding the two big market cap ones, and we had no new buys. So it's like we're talking that there is so much volatility. I think it's good to be away from a storm, and that's what the algorithm does. It tries to buy something when there is too much of volatility happening, and it got out of a couple of stocks from there, considering that there was a lot of volatility around end of November. So bottom line for this week, it is still holding support for 75. There is no new buys, only sells, and at this point, the biggest thing we'll do is just hold and wait to get back into the market. And that's what I have to speak.
That looks interesting because we might have that new support or resistance level at 475. It's kind of moving sideways, but trending down almost. And so just kind of looking at it from a chartist standpoint, it looks like we might be testing new lows as we move sideways, especially with that cash out. I want to know more about that. So we're going to dive into some information about that, see if it's short sellers. Wanted to briefly touch on Cara. Apparently, that was one of the securities that we had sold, one of the really good gains overall, but apparently they had some, and so this is a fundamentals, not the technical analysis, but fundamentally speaking, they had an announcement resulting from a phase 2 clinical study, and it didn't go well, so their stocks plunged 27.8% as a result of that. And so when you look at this and you don't see Cara on our list, it was sold as a result of clinical study not going so well.
Yeah, and it sold a couple of days before. It sold not at this because it was, so let me just give you an idea. So we have been talking about Cara for a while, and I think when it was somewhere here, we had a podcast around that, which when we were somewhere here, we had a podcast around that we want to wait till it reaches this $25 breakout of this $25, and that would be a good getting in the point. And then it fell down, and that was a support line which we had talked about, that this is a long-term support line for this particular stock. So if you see this is the long-term support line which it had been doing for a while. And even it is falling down, it's actually at a very good support line. But at the same time, there is this 200-day moving average that it could further fall down to this particular point.
This drop occurred on Tuesday at 10:54 a.m. When did we sell it? We had to have sold it before.
Yeah, we
Tuesday
sold
morning.
It on the 26th.
So the 26th of November. So we sold it about a week, not business days, but about 7 days before this occurred.
That's correct. Yeah, I think we sold it. Yeah, about 7 days before that. So this happened this week. Yeah, but the reason why I sold it is because it was really reaching at a resistance here. Mm-hmm. So it usually, and there was a doji here. You can see a doji that creates a doji here with close to the resistance. That's a big sign of, like, the buyers and sellers are really confused, and that's the best time to get out of that. But if there is any long-term investors into that, I mean, just like how we talked about GWPH, if there are any long-term investors, this probably the point to get back into this would be about like $14.50. That's probably with the point where I think it'll fall further there and then probably return back. So
definitely validation. If nothing else, this algorithm is definitely working. The second best index is -5% for the last 90 days. We are up 19.44%, almost a 25% difference. So definitely validating what we're doing. I'm definitely going to be excited when we start taking in more investment capital from outside, as we kind of just play with this cannabis index for entertainment purposes only. When it does reach the general public and they are able to invest in this, it's going to be very exciting.
Thanks, Josh.
All right, so with that, I'm going to roll this one up. I want to thank my guest, Rohit Srivastava. I want to thank you for being back on the podcast, showing us this predictive analytics. He's the Chief Investment Officer with Saroj and Bhanu Fund. Thanks again for being on the podcast. And with that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out. By the way, if you enjoy the content, please show your support with the cushy gesture of $4.20 a month on the Talking Hedges Patreon page. This will kind of help you spread the word. I've been asked to speak all over the world, from Toronto and Colombia, Spain, Miami, all over, Tokyo. But your support's important to me. I haven't monetized the podcast. I want to be as authentic and transparent as possible. I want to avoid conflicts of interest or even the perception of paid opinions. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or pay me on the Talking Hedges Patreon page, or don't, and I'm out.